Yasmin, lovely to meet you.
Same here, Christine.
Yes.
Good to sit with you.
Have a cup of tea and chat. Now, some things I want to discuss with you. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
I have things that I've always wanted to do in my life to achieve, and they're not happening in the way I would have liked. Basically, I mean, it's not as dramatic as it sounds. I've always wanted to write a book. I have written non-fiction. I've always wanted to write fiction. I think I know I'm capable of doing it, but I managed to let other things get in the way. Other projects come in and kind of derail. And I suppose basically what I need is to learn how to prioritize that one thing that really matters. Without, I suppose without being too selfish, because all of this has to be in a context of life and family.
What comes in between?
Oh, I'll tell you what comes in between. Basically short-term writing goals. I do a lot of, I write for a living, and I have blogs, and I write a lot of freelance stuff, which I enjoy doing, but it's all, I think being realistic about myself, that is almost like short-term compensation. Instead of actually sitting down and blocking off things to tackle the big project, it's short-term gratification. I write a blog post, I do an article, whatever. So I feel I'm working, I feel I'm producing, but it's not actually the one thing I would ideally like. Does that make sense?
So you write to make some living?
I do, and then also for pleasure. Like my blog is for pleasure. So it's almost as if that is, as I said, that's like short-term satisfaction.
Yeah.
Today I sat down and I produced 2,000, 3,000 words,
Okay.
which is fine. You know, it's good, but it's not towards the one thing I would like to do, which is a book, like, for instance, like you've got.
Yeah.
So it's a question of prioritizing and I suppose blocking out other things. Then I suppose that's time management as well.
Yeah, apart from this, I think prioritizing. This is a classic management issue, I would say. But that's what I understood because we talked before for this conversation here, and what I understood is it's a big dream of yours to write your own book.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose I think lots of people feel they have a novel or a book inside them. And I've had this feeling for many, many years. And I think I can. It's just a question of overcoming some kind of hurdle, which is I've got to a certain stage, whether or not it's being scared of actually sitting down and finish. I'm not quite sure. I think there may be an element of fear in it as well.
Yeah. When you close your eyes for a second and you imagine you reached already that. Just close your eyes for a second. Nothing bad can happen here. Just in India, something always can happen. No, just kidding. We have a nice, beautiful environment. Just close your eyes for a second, coming back to serious stuff, nice stuff, and just imagine you reached already what you dreamed about for maybe many years. You wrote a book. You see this right in front of you. Just imagine and dive into this for a little moment, for this short while. You can see it, you can hear it, you feel it. You can see yourself doing photographs or being in a book launch, something like that. And you're there. When you look back, when you started writing this book, even before starting, writing the first word, you look back and you see how you started, how you continued, and so forth. What do you recognize?
Yes, I recognize that the desire was always there. Longing to write the book.
Okay. And when you see backwards, how you did it. I mean, how you wrote actually the book.
Do you mean physically, literally?
Yeah. Actually. You look back, you have your book in your hands, like, yes, I did it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you just turn your back and say, okay, you look back to the way when you started, going all the way, long way, short way, whatever, the way, the path. And you reflect, and you've been smiling, so in the beginning you had a little struggle. What was actually the first step you did?
Well, I guess the first step was easy. I started writing. And then I suppose left it for a while, possibly left it too long. Then a couple of years ago, I went back and I looked at everything again, changed it from longhand onto the computer, did all that stuff, which is also a little bit time wasting as well. Yeah, like I've achieved something, everything that was handwritten, all the notebooks are now whatever. Added a little bit, but then it sort of was kind of stagnated. And as I said, I do what I guess is almost like displacement activity. I do every day. I write something every day, but it's not always for that project, for that dream. It's random, but it gives me the feeling at the end of the day that I have achieved something.
Yeah. How do you plan usually your day? I mean, how do you structure?
I think that's also part of it. It's a little bit ad hoc. It's what happens.
Okay.
A bit like living in India. It's what the day throws at me. I start out the mornings with a mental idea of what I'm going to do.
Okay.
But very rarely does it go according to plan.
As you mentioned, so I mean, living in India, that demands a little more flexibility. So it's nice you mentioned that. But it's just, maybe out of 20% flexibility which you should put in your day, maybe you need 30%. But it depends on the structure, how you build it up, your environment. But what I always recommend also when we talk about really black and white management skills, plan your day and note it down and prioritize in that way. And you should accomplish your priority of the day between whenever you wake up and before noon. You should have done that. So when you see it, say, okay, 12:30, it's like, did I, you can also cross-check, a midday reflection, which I call it. Is that, did I accomplish the priority of the day yet?
And that is not just because of your own body, you do it before 12 because of energy levels.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And in the morning, you usually should start with the most important thing. Forget about the social medias, this emails, chat which doesn't make any sense. You can postpone this. If it's really relevant to you, postpone this to the afternoon or evening. Also not to the night, because then you will dream about all that blah blah blah, which is not relevant as such. So you prioritize, and then you see, okay, this is the most important thing. No matter if all these 20 things on my agenda are maybe not accomplished, but the priority is done. You made your day. It's perfect. It's actually, we have to discipline ourselves in this way. But it's also then, the soft skills, the fine-tuning comes in the picture. How much time do you really need for writing? I mean, writing is something which is creative. You can't usually say, okay, 1 hour, 2 hours. But somehow it does work, nevertheless. I wrote also a lot of articles. I'm still writing. This is like almost daily. And I give usually 1 hour slot for that. And, after in the morning, waking up, after my meditation, I start writing. I don't touch anything else. I'm not opening your WhatsApp and Facebook and all of that stuff. It's just it's totally distracting.
Totally.
Yeah. And you feel just awesome. It's just like, okay, now I did it.
So how do you organize your writing? Is it a time or is it X number of words you set out to achieve in a day when you write? Or it's
I put chapters actually. I wanted to work on different chapters. So first there was a structure, and I worked with these chapters, and sometimes I went through the same chapter for 3, 4, 5 days or weeks or whatever it was. I mean, it took me 2 years to write it because it was on a stretch. Plus, it's based it's an Indian family. So the main character is an Indian, so it's also talking to many people. and. So it's different, but nevertheless, it's quite similar, I would say.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is you have to make up your mind in the morning. What is the most important thing today? Because we are wasting so much time in so many things.
True. It's
Yeah.
so easy to get led off down a time-wasting path, isn't it?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, there's a saying for management. You see the success of people, how people are, or if people are successful or not, only by the way how they actually check their emails and working with their emails.
Really?
Yeah. Usually, most of the people, you remember how you start when you see okay you have 20 emails. What do you do first? Let me ask you this first.
Right. If I've got 20 emails in the morning,
20 emails or 30 emails, whatever.
the first thing I do, I mean, if it's one I've been expecting or a personal one from something, then I read that. But usually I get rid of all the unnecessary ones.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I just delete all those, so suddenly I've only got 8.
You select. And it's there was a statistic. They made this research, and the very successful people ignored completely the unimportant stuff. Not even deleting this, not even opening it.
I thought the yes was that I was doing it correctly.
No. And I have to admit, I did this also years ago.
But you don't even bother with the jump. You just leave it.
You leave it, or you just, do this when you are waiting for, I don't know, something which is really important. And then you have a little extra time. So, because you can also say, okay, to Gmail accounts, okay, this is junk. And usually there's a memory effect and stuff. So usually you should get less. But however, I have still a lot of emails which are not going directly to the junk. But I take care of this so every second day, I think. And also this Facebook messages, what you got, notifications and stuff. This is just a setup which you have to put according to your needs and wants. This is actually easy. But you should start with the most important thing.
And then open them and answer them. Or open them and set them to one side.
So usually you touch them only once. You should touch this only once. If you open it, this is like you've been waiting for this email. So bingo, now you got the email, yes. You read it and you do and then whatever action. So maybe not an answer, maybe you have to do something and so forth. Yeah. You can put it also then. It's fine. I can't be everybody's darling. So nor do my articles. They can live and die with that, so do I. So the self-doubt should be eliminated. So you should prioritize and believe in yourself. These 3 things. Simple and easier said than done.
I was just going to say, you make it sound so easy, but I guess a lifetime of questioning your own ability. It's a question.
This should be really cut off because before you're not, stopping that, questioning always yourself, you're not moving in any way. You're actually, it's not really encouraging. Just put it in nice words.
And it's also this, what I think, recognize about myself that I do seek solace in short-term compensation, to wins, to blogging and writing, because as I said, it's fast, and there's some immediate output. Today I've published, today I've done this. I feel as if I'm creating. I am, but it's not
such a big project.
No.
Yeah, I understand. But maybe you can put this parallel. So you work on, I don't know, in a week, I don't know how many articles, let's get a figure. So on 10 articles, maybe you decrease it, maybe with half of it. And then you put the other half of the time to the book. That's what I wanted to mention. So when I started writing the book, I went somewhere in a really amazing place where I love to be. This was in Kasuri, and I started writing there. So I put a couple of days there, just doing the relevant things I wanted to do, away from the daily business, this routine, distractions, and just work which has to be done when you're there. But if you're not there, so the world doesn't stop somehow. Still not. Yeah.
So you're encouraging me to go. And yes, you're right. One does need to prioritize, and I know I do. But I find it difficult perhaps it's hiding behind excuses. I find it difficult to it's not saying no to things, but somehow putting things completely to one side, because it's an easy excuse. I work from home, which it's a blessing because I don't spend a lot of time commuting. But then when you're at home working, there's always other stuff that happens.
Yes.
Which has to be dealt with because one is in a family situation. I feel as if I can't be totally selfish. But actually, perhaps that's what one needs.
Yeah. Because if you're not happy, nobody else around you is happy. And sometimes it's really difficult to say when you are at home, you're actually acting like you're not at home.
Yeah.
But if you give this to your staff or whoever helps you and so forth, so for 2 hours, the store is closed. I'm left. Just, count it as I'm left. And when the house is on fire, okay, just lock the door.
But for everything else, which is,
Exactly.
I go through phases of doing that, and then, for about a week, and then just
have a chat. Have a chat every morning with yourself. Okay, what we're going to do today? What is the most important thing? What is my A task and priority? And then you start working on that. And like I used to go, I get up in the morning very early because there's peace and harmony. Nobody is there, and there are no excuses, and you have a clear, fresh mind.
But I use that time to go running. Early.
You can do this, so maybe start writing before or directly after running. It depends.
Because I find often when I'm running, not so much my book, but if I've got articles or deadlines, very often I'm writing it in my head as I go along.
Yes, absolutely. You're actually working on it and then you write it down. Yeah, you can do this. So give yourself a job before you're jogging outside or going for a run and say, okay, now I'm working on XYZ chapter. And then you go. Easy. You just have to set up discipline and you have to control if you have been disciplined. And sometimes they come and say, no, I didn't even think about the priorities. Okay, tomorrow.
I'm not worried about it.
No, it's just learning out of it. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I hope you are a step ahead.
And when I do the book launch, will you come?
Yes. This is done. When? Max
I'm going to make a commitment. No.
Make a commitment. You come to my book launch, I will come to yours.
Okay. We'll deal.
Good.
Okay. Thanks.
Very good. Welcome.